I want to go back to the phone lines. We'll talk next to Adam in Fresno, California. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Hank. I have a brief question. To the people living in the deepest, darkest jungles, like in the Congo, to all these people that have no idea what the gospel is, they have no idea who Jesus Christ is, what happens to them when they pass away?
Well, remember that people are not condemned to hell for not believing in Jesus. They're already condemned because of their sin. So the real question is not how could God send someone to hell, but how could God condescend to save any one of us? But getting back to the answer to the previous question, and I think it's providential that we have these questions back to back because they are related. We do have an indication that everybody has light, which is to say in Romans chapter 1, there is the light of creation. So we know that the light of creation is enough to point us to a creator. But added to the light of creation in Romans chapter 2, we have the light of conscience, which is not only do we see God manifest through the universe that he has made, but we see the knowledge of God written on the very tablet of our consciousness, so that we are without excuse, both because of the light from without and the light from within. Now the question is, are we going to continue to respond to light? If we do, we can have the light of Christ. If we do not, we will stay in darkness. And that's what Jesus said to Nicodemus. He said, the problem is not that you don't have enough light, but men love darkness rather than light because their deeds are evil. So the problem isn't that there are people in the world, they're in some remote village, and therefore they just can't get to the light, and therefore they're disqualified. No, they have the light of creation. They have the light of conscience. If they respond to that, they will receive the light of Christ. Now, does that mean they'll have the absolute clarity that you may have? Not necessarily, because I would argue that the Old Testament saints did not have the clarity that you have today. They saw dimly. The reason is they had to look to substance through type and shadow. They had to look to the sacrificial lamb, Jesus Christ, through the blood of bulls and goats. So they saw dimly what you see clearly. And I think that in light of that, we should be humble and recognize that it is not the absence of truth that damns, it is the despising of truth that damns.
Okay. Yeah, I was asked this question a couple of days ago, and then I really didn't know how to answer that because, they're saying, people will say, well, how can they condemn somebody to hell if they don't know? And it's like, well, it's not like that. I just couldn't put it into terms. But you've clarified that, and I appreciate that.
Well, you got it. I've written about this in the Complete Bible Answer Book Collector's Edition, available through the Ministry of the Christian Research Institute.